Assalamu alaikum, grade 4 students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. Today there's an interesting day ahead to you. Today we will start a new lesson, a new story. Open your page number 26, lesson number 3, NNC and 5. Okay, now once upon a time, long ago, there lived a creature called Anansi. Sometimes Anansi was a spider, sometimes he was a man, and other times he was a strange mix of the two. Anansi was a trickster, and he was having a difficult time. He had no money to buy food for his family. As he walked around the village, early one morning, he had a scowl on his face and a growl in his stomach. Passing by a neighbor's house, Anansi heard something that pleased him. The neighbor was an old witch. She was an angry and unpleasant witch who became furious whenever anyone said her name. She hated her name all through her life. People had laughed or looked surprised when they heard what her name was. Can you guess what her name was? It was Five. Anansi peeked through a gap in the witch's fence. She was stirring her big cooking pot and muttering and mumbling a spell. The smoke and sparks were blue and green, so Anansi knew she was cooking up some big magic. Suddenly, she snatched up her staff and started up to pound it on the ground. As she walked around the pot, Anansi listened carefully to what she said. I curse anyone who says the word five to disappear forever. Anansi rubbed his hands together and jumped around on his 8 hairy legs. Ah, this could make me some money or get some food on the table for my family. He smiled widely and his sharp teeth sparkled. Anansi rushed to the path that ran along the river bank between the village and the marketplace. Soon everyone who was going to the market would walk past. They would be on their way to buy the delicious jams, beets, pulses, and grains that would be piled high in the market. Anansi set to work and it can be spelled like pilled or piled up 5 mounds of earth near the path. They looked just like he had planted 5 yams. Then he sat down and waited. First to come by was little Mrs. Rabbit. She carried a basket full of sweet potato pieces and walked slowly because it was heavy. And Nancy stepped forward and smiled. That looks like a big weight. Please rest a while and help me. I don't know how to count, so I cannot tell how many yams I have planted. Mrs. Rabbit was kind, so she stopped. She put down her basket and hopped along the row, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In a flash, a bang, Mrs. Rabbit disappeared, and Nancy gobbled down the whole basket of sweet potato in seconds. He licked his lips and sat down again to wait. Not longer, he heard a little footsteps on the path and looked up. It was Mr. Duck. He walked along with his chest held high and his feet made a slip-slap sound on the path. He had a bag with his lunch in it by his side. Mr. Duck stopped when he saw Anansi and asked him how he was. Anansi put on a glum expression. Mr. Duck, I have no idea how to count my yam plants. Can you help me, please? Mr. Duck bobbed his head and puffed out his chest even further. Well, Anansi, he said, it is a quite simple. Start with 1, then 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Mr. Duck disappeared instantly. Anansi ate up the lunch. Now I know you will be wondering about Anansi's family. Do you think about them? Did he save any food? No, he did not. He ate everything without a thought about any of them. Next to come along on our way to the market to buy some tasty treats was Miss Frog. She did not stop when Nancy called her. Hey, please help me counting my plant. She laughed. No way, count them by yourself, she called over her shoulder as he hopped away. It did not bother Nancy too much because he knew there would be plenty more chances for him to trick his trick out. He imagined with what delicious food he would find. He did not imagine taking to any his hungry children. He was going to eat as much as he could fit in his stomach. Then come back and try this trick again on another day. A scurrying sound pulled Anansi out of his daydream. It was Mrs. Chew. On her tiny bag, she had a huge lot of freshly made pies that was hoping to sell. The load was 3 times her size, and her face was red from the effort she was making. Oh, Lady Shrew, how nice to see you. Sit a while and rest. I need your help to count my plants, and you can share your wisdom with me. And Nancy grinned and showed all his sharp teeth. He was trying hard to be charming because he really wanted to eat all the pies. Mrs. Shrew was too not a fool. She could see Nancy's eyes glistening as he looked at pies. Well, Nancy, you are kind. I am tired. She put down her load. How can I help? I cannot count. He lied. Can you count my yams? Mounds for me. Mr. Shrew smiled. She walked to the nearest mound and stood on it. She pointed the mound that was furthest away from her. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one, she said clearly. And Nancy frowned. Do it again. Say all the numbers, he said. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one that I'm sitting on. Mr. Shrew spoke slowly and clearly. A flash of anger passed over Nancy's face. Come on, say them properly. He was finding difficult to keep a smile on his face. Again, Mrs. Shrew smiled sweetly and counted slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one here. She pointed to the mounds beneath her feet. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, shouted Nancy. Instantly, in a big burst of sparks, he disappeared. Mrs. Shrew picked up her load and set off to the market. She would sell these pies and buy mouth-watering delicious for her family. What kind of character is Nancy? She was clever, she was keen. He was clever, he was keen. Use details from the story to support your views. Okay, today the homework is read the story again carefully, underline the difficult words. What you have to do is you have to open your notebook, write these words as a dictation, write words meaning, then make sentences of these words. This is your homework, today's homework. Okay, students? Take good care of yourself. Keep remembering prayers. Miss you a lot, all of you. Allah Hafiz.